time to break down this season before we get into the finale, and I can't lie, I don't know where the game is heading. I have thoughts on who I want to win, but child, this season is so up and down with hella twists and turns. I can't even pinpoint who will take them coins home, honey. But let's talk about it. Okay, I have finally ran through the rest of the show, and boy were my emotions all over the place. I don't know how to feel, because to be honest, this has been a weak season compared to the others as far as the entertaining factor goes. Yeah, having the Spice Girls was cute, but after them, the entertainment with the players wasn't there. And that's just my honest opinion. I just feel like no one was playing strategically. And I mean, your game is your game, but hell, where was the plotting and planning? We may have gotten some of it from like 2, maybe 3 players, but that's about it. So, okay, whatever. So getting into it, I have so much to say from episode all the way to 12, but I am going to make it quick. Starting with, I was happy Mel B and Emma was able to win them an extra $50,000. Woo, baby! When I say I would have fell out, so that means they have a chance of winning $150,000, which is good. Now I can't lie, when they went to see Alyssa after the voting, I was upset because I wanted them to go see Rachel, especially after they had thrown her under the bus. But to be honest, well, they also threw Alyssa under the bus. But to be honest, for Rachel to be the new girl, she was doing too much as far as being so out there. I felt like she didn't even get a feel of the room and the people before she was talking and going in. But that's just my thoughts for when she, she first entered the game. But she ended up being one of my favorite people only because she wasn't holding nothing back, okay? And I love that. Just not, for her beginning gameplay. But it's the game, and I get why Mel B and Emma went to see Alyssa, being that they knew Alyssa first, so that made sense. And they wanted to prove she was a catfish, even though they was wrong. Plus, I think after them going to see her and having a conversation with her, it made me like her, Alyssa, a tad bit more, but I still wasn't rooting for her to win, so I guess it still don't mean nothing. So moving on from that historical moment, we got into the next ratings where Yulene and Alyssa became influencers, which at the time made sense because they were doing their rounds, making sure they were in good standing with most of the people they built connections with, and it landed them in the top. But during that time, I wanted it to be Frank and Crissa. Sadly, Crissa got blocked, and Yulene had to tell her in person, and I felt so bad. And baby, Crissa was pissed. Okay, she was so pissed. And didn't even want to talk to Yulene. Like, she was trying to have a brave face during their conversation, but baby, she was crushed. However, when I really thought about it, Crissa was low-key playing a safe game. Like, other than Frank and Yulene, I wasn't sure who she had a bond with that would have had her feeling safe. Now, what I didn't like was that they didn't let Crissa go see someone before leaving. That wasn't fair at all because, yeah, her and Yulene was face-to-face, but what if she didn't want to see Yulene ass? I'm pretty sure she would have wanted to see Frank, but that didn't happen, and I felt like the show was wrong for that. Now, I was shocked that Carole wasn't blocked, even with everyone in the game knowing she was a catfish. And don't get me wrong, I am one of them people that don't care about players being a catfish in the game, because as long as you loyal and good for my game, it's whatever. But child, after the way Nathan has been playing as a catfish profile, I may have to rethink that because, baby, you really can't trust nobody. But hell, you barely can trust the people that is playing themselves. So I guess that's another point. But anyways, other than Carole being a catfish, Alyssa and Yulene figured out that she's been going around telling them the both same story about her saving them in the first ratings, which was pretty true, but hell, Frank didn't want them gone either, so telling them that story didn't really hold any weight. And I feel like Yulene did want Carole gone, but she decided to side with Alyssa and block Crissa, which she regretted. At least she said she did. And Yulene later on did admit to letting other people like Alyssa dictate her game and not having no backbone. So at this point, Alyssa has control of the game and no one is peeping it, which is crazy to me because at that point, they were handing her the money in the top spot. At least I thought. But baby, the game did a twist that threw everyone off of their toes. Now, before the rating I'm speaking on, Alyssa, Yulene, and Brew had a throuple alliance with Mama Carole on the side. But once Crissa left and Yulene felt like she was playing someone else's game, she decided to make another alliance with Rachel and Frank because Crissa told her she could trust Frank. And Frank felt like he could trust Rachel. And after Crissa blocking 2 new players into the game, and a circle became, complete and no more new players would be added. Now, the 2 people entering the game was this guy Eversen, who was playing himself. But I was side-eyeing him right away because he was just being so corny. But eventually, I started to like him a little bit because he was entertaining as hell and doing what he had to do to build bonds. So I respected it. And he was the type of person you would want in the circle because he'll make it fun. And he'll make it fun on the down times. And the second and final person that entered the game was Trevor, the Lisa husband, who she played as a catfish in season 2 and won off of his face. Well, he entered the game as a catfish too, as a girl named Imani. And what was irritating to me with Imani entering the game is that she was off-rip, depicted to be a catfish because she was a pretty black girl and they was trying to use the excuse of, oh, she's using a filter. Like, what? It's 2022. Everyone, mama, grandma, dog, cat, and fish uses a filter. So when they were saying that, I was getting aggravated because the same thing happened in season 1 with a pretty black girl was a player and everyone assumed she was a catfish. Granted, they do all be catfish. But them using the excuse of, oh, filter will forever be so lame to me because bitches be pretty with or without filters. That catfish mess is so play. And I think I get irritated because if I entered the game, I'll be myself. And people may say my profile is a catfish, but really I'm just that girl. Yeah. But anyways, in the midst of the new players entering the game, Nathan slides into a chat with Rachel trying to be her friend and make an alliance with her. And I, for one, did not like that because he has been throwing Rachel under the bus every chance he got. And now all of a sudden he wants to be her friend and have an alliance with her? Boy, no. Now, Nathan is a catfish too, and a guy, Alex, who was playing him was really pissing me off because, oh, he was playing a nasty game. But I could respect it because he was doing what he had to do to solidify his spot. And everything he was doing was working. But still, he was playing crazy dirty. Now, Rachel was in the game acting like, she was this girl that wasn't for none of the BS people was coming to her with. So I was confused when Nathan came to her with some mess about them aligning, and she was all for it. Talk about flabbergasted, because I would have thought she would have read right through him, but she didn't. And she was saving him alive. But I guess it was smart for her game, so I guess I understand it, even though I don't want to. Anywho, moving along, I want to quickly talk about when Eversen and Imani entered the game, they had to throw a party and everyone had to decide who party they wanted to go to. And when I say I was screaming so loud, okay? Because only 2 people went to Eversen party, which was Rachel and Brew. And everyone else went to Imani party. So that right there told me everything. But it was so fitting that it was Brew and Rachel. Like, clearly y'all don't really know like a real party for real, a real invitation for real. But anyways, the next day, Eversen started a chat with everyone in the group that didn't make it to his party. And Imani started a group with Rachel and Brew since they didn't go to her party. And in the chat, everyone was spilling the tea from what's been going on in the game so far. But I think because Imani had fewer people, she was getting more information, and baby Rachel wasn't holding anything back, especially her dislike feelings for catfish mama Carole. While Eversen chat was just everyone being flirty and funny. Nothing beneficial, to be honest. So after all the chatting, some type of cyber attack happened where everyone's screens except Imani's and Eversen since they were new players. And when it happened, all the other players got someone else's photo album and was able to ask them anonymous questions. And we all know everyone loves to get buck wild when they become anonymous. So they were going hard on each other. I mean, they could have went harder, but for this season, I guess it was hard. And through the game, all I could think about was Nathan has got to go because he is playing a dirty game. And not only that, he was so busy trying to be malicious to other players that he was fumbling at his own game, because when he was asked a question, he was freezing up so bad he didn't know if he would answer it correctly. And by the grace of God, he answered it correctly. But he didn't even know it was on pins and needles until Brew told him he was right. Bro. I need Brew to learn how to read the room because baby boy, he got it bad. So after all that, there was a twist in the game where Eversen and Imani had to choose one person to save, and they chose Frank, and everyone else thought they were up for elimination. But what really happened was each person saved could save someone else until they got to the final person. And this is what a lot of chaos popped off. So Frank chose Yulene chose Rachel chose Nathan, which didn't make sense to me at first, but then I realized he was the only other person she built a connection with, so I guess it did. Then Nathan chose Brew, and Brew chose Carole, meaning Alyssa got blocked. And boy, was she sick, okay? All that work she was doing and no one in her alliance came to her aid was wild as hell. But honestly, that's her fault because she was banking on 2 people in the game of them, like 8 to 10, you know, people, and it didn't work in her favor. Just how it didn't work for Crissa. The both of them was not putting in enough work, and that's just that. And Alyssa thought all that flirting and kikiing and her throuple was going to get the job done, but they really weren't talking strategies and plots as much as they should have, which landed them in the position they did. What landed her out of the game? Hell, everyone else was safe. I can't lie though, I didn't care for Alyssa and wasn't rooting for her to win, but I did feel bad for her. Now what got me after all of this was Yulene was a part of the throuple and didn't save Alyssa, and neither did Brew. And Yulene could not find her fault in not saving that girl and wanted it all to fall on Brew. Like, girl, you are just as wrong as Brew, boo. And at the end of the day, you made decisions based on your personal gameplay and strategies to save face with your other alliance, which is fine. Hell, I don't fault you. But don't try to throw all that mess up on Brew. You got to take some accountability of it too. And when they were in the chat after Alyssa got blocked, I feel like Yulene was doing a bit much as far as making it seem like she really connected with Alyssa the hardest. But she didn't save her. So she was contradicting herself big time. Now, I feel like Brew had every right to be upset with Yulene, but baby, Carole had so much to say to Yulene after Alyssa blocking. And I was so confused because Carole, baby, please, like what? It's not even your big, sir, ma'am. And to be honest, you should have gone home, but you got spared, so all the rah-rah was out of line. But the fact that everyone was going so hard over Alyssa being blocked only proved that she needed to go, if any of them really wanted a shot at winning, because she had the most support, just not the strongest. I just don't like how everyone was trying to come for Yulene's throat as if she doesn't have her own game to play. They want her to play their game, and that girl wasn't doing that anymore, and they got mad. Oh well, baby, suck it the hell up and move on. Speaking of moving on, let me get away from that chaotic debacle because I have to talk about the next ratings. And this time, everyone was up for grabs. But Frank and Yulene became influencers, so they were safe, which goes to show you that Yulene is playing a smart game and making strong connections, even if people feel like she's fake. But really, she's smart and she's not playing dirty like Nathan. So because Yulene have the alliance with Rachel and Frank, while also being cool with Brew still, she put her way up to an influencer spot. And just so we are clear, I am rooting for Frank and Yulene, even though I think the chances of them winning is slim, being that people will vote them low in the last rating because they have been so high throughout the game. But we shall see. Anyways, instead of them voting to block someone as a unit, they each had to choose 2 players they wanted to save. Maybe when I say I was flabbergasted, because I wasn't ready for that little twist there. So the first person Yulene saved was Brew, which I knew she was going to do because she wanted to get back on his good side. The first person Frank saved was Rachel, which I knew as well because they have been holding each other down. Well, I should say Frank has been holding her down, being that he's been at the top of the game since the beginning, while Rachel low-key has been riding his coattail. But Rachel be having all the tea information, so that's her part in the group. But other than that, she has never had any power. But after those 2 were saved, Yulene went to save Nathan, which I knew she was going to do since they've been doing all that little flirting. And she didn't like Carole. And she really hasn't bonded with any of the new players. So that made sense. And lastly, Frank saved Imani because they built up an instant connection. So that just left Eversen, the new guy, and Carole, the catfish. Now see, at that point, I knew Carole was getting a boot because Yulene didn't like her after they went tit for tat in the group chat. And Frank just didn't have a strong connection with her. Which is sad that a player that came in a day or so ago has more backing than you, Carole. Someone that has been in the game since the beginning. That's wild. But what's even more wild was that before Carole got blocked, her and Eversen had to meet up in a room together to get the news. And Eversen was the first person to find out Carole was a catfish. But by then, it didn't matter because, well, he is gone. Which means the circle is smaller and there is time for others to have targets on their back. And the person everyone was side-eyeing was Nathan. Well, at least I thought they were. Because they were playing a game where they had to draw photos of one another. And once again, anonymously. And everyone was getting nice photos of them in the beginning. But then, Imani drew a picture alluding to Nathan being a catfish of a 45-year-old man playing a 22-year-old frat boy. And it was so funny because Imani is new to the game and she picked up on it. So of course that threw red sirens up to everyone. Then Nate drew a picture alluding to Frank being a snake just to stir the pot. Just to stir the pot. But that move has gotten so old because someone else tried to throw out that Frank was, you know, two-faced. But no one believed it then, so they're not gonna believe it now. Matter of fact, I think it was Nathan who did it the first time, and here he was doing it again. Like, baby, give it up. And it's funny because Nathan is the true snake of the game this season, just slithering around trying to get information, get people to fall for his mess. And everyone in the game just let him slide by since they assume he's so young and he just say the right things at the moment. But as the circle gets smaller, more attention is going towards him. But moving on from him, his photo wasn't even the worst because Eversen drew Yulene basically saying she's evil or something. I don't know, but the photo was scary and I had nightmares about it because, sir, no. What was that demonic mask? And it just didn't make sense. But of course he was trying to throw doubt her way because of what John told him when Carole got blocked. Now after all of that, of course feelings and thoughts was running rapid and boom, alert, and it was time to vote again. And this time the lowest rated player got blocked and being an influencer was null and void. So the person that got blocked was Brew. And y'all, I knew it was going to be him because Brew had bonds with the wrong people. And by the time he did start talking to them, it was too late. But beyond that, the person that rated him the lowest to put him at the bottom was them Nathan, his little bro, his homie, his ally. Baby, Nathan is playing for himself, point blank period, and do not care about these little friendships everyone else is building in the game. And when Brew was leaving, he went to go see Nathan and saw that he was a catfish. And Nathan told him everything from rating him low to telling Frank all his business. Baby, I just knew Brew was sick because he realized he put his trust in the wrong person. And it backfired on him like real bad, okay? But the game got even more interesting when the circle announced that another player would be blocked by the top rated player that no one knew, which happened to be Frank. And he had to secretly vote someone out the game, and of course, they want to wait to tell us during the final episode. But something in me feels like it's going to be Eversen. But deep down, I am hoping it is Nathan. Like, I really am. I want him out. Now, even though I hate Nathan gameplay, I also have to respect it because, baby, it's a game. And $150,000 is on the line. So, may the odds be ever in whoever favor. I just hope it's Frank or Yulene. But my predictions on who win the game is always off. Like, every season. I'm really bad at predicting. I am. But that's all I have to say in my recap for this season of The Circle. Now the next recap is going to be basically on the finale. So with that being said, you already know what to do and how it goes down over here. Like this video and show your girl some love. Comment your thoughts and let me know what you thought of this season so far. And last but certainly not least, subscribe and join the kingdom, baby. Bye.